Do you know what the secret to a great photograph is? Well, it's not the camera or any other gear. It's not the rule of thirds or any other rule of composition for that matter. It's something very different. The secret to a good photograph is in the photographer. An average photographer will show up at a place of interest, an overlook or such, and pull out his camera and take a picture. That's something that anyone can do, just capturing a vast scene and saying, oh, that's cool. But the chances are when he brings it home and he looks at it, he's going to go, well, that was nicer in real life. And the truth of the matter is, it was. You could feel the wind, you could smell the trees, you could taste the air. It's always better in real life. But our job as photographers, as good photographers, is to go to that area and capture that scene in a certain way, in a way that your average Joe on a 9-to-5 running the rat race who's not a photographer wouldn't see it. And that's where things like camera choice, lens choice, tools of the trade, rules of composition, shutter speed, aperture settings, that's where those things come into play. But even then, it's even more than that. Your average person isn't going to get up 2 hours before sunrise to show up there and set up and take a shot in the golden hour. And that is one of the things that truly makes a great photographer and a great photograph. The motivation to get out when it's pouring rain, when it's snowing sideways, way before the sun comes up, when anybody else is awake, to stay out late, to learn the tools of the trade, to learn your shutter speed to capture star trails, and all sorts of that matter. Those are the things that make a great photograph. But we're going to break this down even further in this video. But to start, I want to tell you guys a story. So many years ago, I was tasked to teach a child's class in photography. Now this was preteen children, so like, elementary school, early junior high school age. And when I started the class, I would say at least 90% showed up without a camera. They showed up with a cheap phone that they had or their parents' phone, and that's what they used to take their photographs for this course. But in the end, I was amazed. And that's because these kids caught amazing photographs using what they learned. And it wasn't because of the rules or the gear. Obviously, they were shooting on phones. It was because of their imagination and their willingness to do things that us as adults just don't typically want to do. Lay down in a mud pile, climb up on the fence, climb the tree, look at things with a sense of wonder and imagination that we have kind of lost as adults and that we need to bring back as photographers. Just to look at things from a different perspective, get down at a child's height, climb that fence, do things that really bring a different point of view into your image. And that is something that will really help bring you to the next level. But breaking down what really makes an amazing photograph, can it be measurable? I think in a sense it can. So the 3 criteria that I think every photograph needs to do to be amazing is 1, capture your attention. If you're walking down a hallway, walking through a gallery, the doctor's office, whatever, and you see that photograph out of the corner of your eye, you want to stop and look at it. The second thing it needs to do is hold your attention. There has to be something there to study. It could be a macro shot of a flower. You've never seen it up close like that, and you want to really look at the stamen, at the pollen, and see something you've never seen before, bringing us back to that, presenting an image in a way that your average Joe wouldn't see it. I think that's our job as a photographer. The next thing I think a great photograph does is it stays in your mind. It's memorable. Think about the favorite photographs you've taken, photographs you've seen in galleries, Ansel Adams' works, things of that nature. You remember it. You can close your eyes and visualize that photograph. And that's what really makes it a great photograph. You can remember it. So we want it to catch your eye. We want it to keep your attention, and we want it to be memorable. Outside of that, I think a great photograph needs to do 1, 2, or all 3 of these next items, and that is create a sense of wonder. Our ways of doing that as photographers are countless. Everything from lens choice to where you stand or lay, to the shutter speed you use, to the lighting and condition you're out in. All those things can bring a sense of wonder into your photograph, and I think that can be very important. Another thing A great photograph can invoke a strong sense of emotion. That emotion can be joy, it can be anger, it can be sorrow, it can be laughter. Just a good photograph can invoke a sense of emotion. And that really boils down to your subject matter, to the moodiness and tone of the photograph. Once again, there's many things you can do to play on that. And it doesn't always have to be happy-feely. A photograph of a dolphin caught in a fisherman's net is not a very happy photograph, but it can create a strong sense of emotion, and it can be memorable, and it can do what I think the third thing that a great photograph can do, and is one of the three things you should include, and that is create a call to action. When you see that photograph of a dolphin caught in a fisher's net, you want to help. You want to do something. You want to make changes, and that's that call to action that a photograph can create. But it can also be on the opposite end of the spectrum to motivate you to do something amazing. Maybe now you saw this photograph, you want to get up 2 hours before sunrise and capture a photograph. And that's what I'm getting at. One of these three things I think should always be included in a great photograph, and that's creating a sense of wonder, creating a strong emotion, or creating a call to action. So there, we've broken it down for you. I think in a way it is something that's measurable. It's something that's subjective, but I think it's something that we should all strive to do as photographers and always keep improving on. And just remember, anybody can take a picture of that flower, can take a picture of that viewpoint, can take a picture of that person or that street, but a great photographer is going to take pictures of these things in ways that your everyday Joe isn't going to see. That's our jobs as photographers, to do what your average person isn't going to do with a camera and just make it a memorable image and experience for those who look at your work.